Obviously, this is more of a mastermind, talking about profit share and just the opportunity with that. And the last thing I want is to shove like recruiting down your guys' throats because I feel like, it has to make sense for you. It has to be something that you're excited about, you're passionate about, and that you understand, you know, even just some basic level things of how you can actually build it. So, both of you guys kind of know a little bit about my background as far as being at a different company, recruiting a bunch of agents over there. So my knowledge base is going to be coming from just my own experience, things that have worked for me over the last 7, 8 years with doing it. And, I'm happy to give suggestions, thoughts on that. And then also just want to kind of brainstorm with you guys, mastermind around, things that you can do in your business to not make it something that's, this whole extra thing that you're now having to focus on. But it's like, how can you just implement certain things in your business that are simple and easy and repeatable that don't feel recruity and don't feel like you're trying to, be salesy to people as you're talking. So that's kind of my focus for today. My my whole thing, I guess, myself is like from my own experiences, I have done so much of the recruiting aspect of my business through relationships. So if you were to look at my downline and the people that I had with us, every single one of those people were some sort of relationship, worked together somehow in a deal, or just had built that relationship, throughout the process of being in real estate. And so I was never someone that was hitting the phones, cold calling agents, doing all that kind of stuff. I just found that it didn't jive well, I guess, for me, doing that. And I think that there's ways that you can do it and it not feel icky, as far as inviting people to events, stuff like that. But I think that the best, in my opinion, one of the best ways that you can just build it organically is just through relationships that you already have. So that's really how I focus, my energy, and, it's similar to looking at your business. Right now, a lot of our businesses run on SOI and referrals. And those are the most fun, business or most fun transactions that we typically will have. And so if you look at profit share and what that downline looks like for you and the passive income that you can create, if you look at it in the same way and say that, the people that I already know, the people that I already, enjoy working with, enjoy talking to, those are my SOI. Let's build through SOI, right? Like, let's do it that way versus trying to, you know, put all these leads out there, put all these ads out there, get all these leads, and they're all cold conversations and you're starting from, ground zero with that. So, I personally think that that's just one of the easiest ways to get going in it, and if it picks up traction and you start to build more with those systems, then obviously you can do more with that in the future too. But before I get into like, ideas and things that we can do, I just like to hear from the two of you. Obviously, it's a small group today, which is kind of nice, but I just like to kind of hear like what your experiences are with it. Do you have any experience with it? What would be something that, why are you here? Basically, like what is appealing to you about this? And like if you have any struggles or questions, just to make sure we spend this time the best that we can for the next 30 minutes. So go for it. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I don't have any experience with it, so I really am just interested in hearing what it's all about. So I
Okay.
probably won't have a whole lot to contribute.
Totally
I
fine.
just,
That's all
yeah,
good.
okay.
Yeah, just getting an awareness around it and understanding what it is and everything for sure. All right. And then
Exactly.
Jeremy? Yeah.
I've recruited people in the past and they've joined and then they've left. So that's been my experience. One went back to Howard Hanna. They wrote him a check for 20 grand and can't compete with that.
Yeah.
And then I've had a couple other people left, and I feel like people we've had in leadership maybe in the past didn't put the effort forward to keep those people, and it wasn't a priority. So, um, and the people I've referred maybe weren't like I've recruited those people. That was something I did, and it was not something that the team leader had done. So I haven't had that experience where the team leaders like jumped in and took over, and I felt like they were in good hands, and
Yeah.
felt like it was on me, even though I hear it's not on you, just make the introduction, but I haven't had that experience. So the people I
Yeah.
had, they left. And now I'm like, here I am, been here for a while, and I thought I'd be in a much different spot with, profit share, and it's not the case. So I'm always interested to see what people are doing and, kind of maybe what this looks like. And I wanted to hear like what you were doing you know, at EXP and what you were telling people, like what excited you about the company there and what excited, you know, what you would tell people about, you know, the company here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and just having some of those, not necessarily scripts, but some of those kind of talk tracks with people of knowing what to say or how to say it. And no, I think that's great. And I think so, Janet, like just to give you a little bit of kind of just an overview of what profit share really is. Long story short, it's a way to grow your downline here at the company. But I think what's really unique is that what they've done is they've taken, instead of it coming from the agent, they're taking it from, the company dollars already being paid to the company. So like for you, for instance, you come over, you name me as your sponsor. At that point in time, every transaction that you have is going to be able to share back a certain percentage depending on which line you're in my organization. And so for us, I think the cool thing is that what it does is it creates a very supportive environment for the agents, is what the goal is, that your sponsor is someone who wants to support you, wants to see you succeed. And at the same time, everyone is benefiting from that when they're all tapping into that profit share. So, we're sharing back the profit, of the company, basically, depending on what the profit is that month and depending on, which agent you have in which line. So that's what we're looking at. And so the potential there is something where it's like, it starts small. It's not something that you're going to be like, wow, this is amazing, I'm going to go quit my full-time job for, but it's something that starts to build and starts to add income, and I think that it's a unique opportunity where, why not give it a shot? Why not go ahead and do it? Especially if you have some of those systems and the support around it. Jeremy, the one thing that I will tell you is I've been in your shoes when it comes to like, you feel like it's all on you. You feel like it's, like you are the support, you are the person that they're leaning on, that they're, joining basically. And I think that what's unique with this company, even versus like another company, is that I think that it depends, like when you're at other companies that have something similar, like revenue share, for instance, it's a lot on that one person, unless there's like a really great organization that they've created. But again, like they've created it, right? Like it's not something that's just built in. Whereas here, I feel like the difference is that we have the leadership, we have the support, we have, the people now. And I think that even like my role as a team leader and having Julia, having Carrie, having Mike, having just all of the support that we have and all the trainings that we have and everything, I think that what it comes down to is finding the way to get them plugged in and make those relationships so that, they do build relationships inside the company as well as the relationships they have with you. And so I think that there's some intentionality with that. And my thought process on that is that, when you're having those conversations, when you're bringing people on, what might help with that struggle is instead of waiting until they're here at the company, make those connections and build those relationships for them and create that dynamic for them before they're even with us or right when they're with us, right? So like, as you're having that conversation with someone, for instance, like hypothetically, say that you're working with an agent that you've worked with a few times, you've built a decent relationship with them, and you feel like they're a great agent, you feel like they'd really benefit from what we have here at KW. It's a simple conversation of, hey, like, I just want to say, like, I really enjoy working with you. And I don't do this to everyone by any means. And I don't do it often because I don't often work with people that I really enjoy working with like I do with you. I would love to just introduce you to someone in my company that can kind of talk to you about, all the things that we have here. I'm happy to share my experience as well, but I just think that you'd be a great great asset to our company. And I also feel like our company can be great for your business. Like, are you open to that conversation? No strings attached, like obviously not recruiting you. I just think that I'd love to be in business with you more than just one deal, 2 deals a year. It's a really simple conversation. And what it does is it immediately gets you in the conversation of, let me introduce you to someone. Let me introduce you to someone in my company that can have, like, this is what she does. This is what he does. This is what, and it kind of takes the pressure off of you from feeling like you have to be the one recruiting them. And it also immediately builds a second connection in the company for them, right? Like it's someone else to help build that relationship for them. And they might say, yeah, like I'm open to it. Like what's your experience been like at KW? And then you can share your experience. What I have learned is that you can probably, now Janet, you're in a different spot because obviously you just came on board, a few months ago. Jeremy, you've been here for several years. there's certain questions that you might be able to answer and certain where you're like, I'm honestly not sure. I'm not the best person to answer that. Let me get you in touch with the person who can answer that for you. I've not had that experience yet or something like that, but it's easy to pass it off. But even if you do know all the answers, don't answer them because you want to save something for that next we called it like third party validation. Like I'm the third party. You guys are party one and party two. I'm the third person that's going to be pulled into the mix. Right. So I'm going to be that validation for them of experiencing what KW is or validating what you're already saying to them about how much you love the company, things like that. And by doing that, by not like we would call it, you don't want to vomit KW on them, right? Like you don't want to just like spew it all out and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this sounds like way too much, not what I was asking for, right? Or like it feels overwhelming for them. So just play it cool. Like just be like, yeah, no, I love it. I think it's a fantastic company. I've been here for 15 years. I really have enjoyed what they've done. I've seen it grow over the years and I feel like we've just got something really special going that's super unique to real estate and specifically here in Northeast Ohio. Like it's a really easy conversation there and say like, I'd love to set up a meeting. Like, do you want me to be there? I'm happy to be there with you and we can set up just a conversation. Let's go get coffee with Kelsey. She's our team leader and she's the one that can give you a lot more information than what I can because this is what she does, right? So that immediately will help you take the pressure off of yourself and build that relationship and that connection from the very beginning, right? And so, like, obviously, you're going to know, like, even Janet, my conversation with you that we had, I knew that I had a relationship already with your daughter. And I knew that, like, there was already that, like, trust associated there. So I could have a very real conversation with you when I was talking with you about coming over and joining us. And it wasn't like I didn't feel like I needed to have that third party validation because I feel like there was already that built in trust. It's harder to do that when you're talking directly to an agent for the first time about it, right? Like that was already a referral. So that was such a unique situation, but it's like, that's not the norm, right? Like that's not usually how someone comes our way and would have that conversation. Does that make sense though? Does that like make things sound a little more simple or does that kind of make things a little muddier? Like, what are your thoughts, Jeremy?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just, yeah, I haven't been just looking for, I guess, motivation or just yeah, see if anything's changed. I guess it's the same message I've been hearing, for years. Make the
Yeah.
introduction. Um, yeah.
Well, and I think
Yeah,
that
it's nothing new.
yeah, and I think that there is a difference too between where I came from and where we are now, like this company. Like I think the one thing that they did do really, really well that I feel like they kind of changed the model in a sense a little bit with how the agents operated and grew their groups. I think having some ownership in that is also good. Like I do believe that, when you bring people on, as much as you want to build the relationship with the other people in the company and help them get connected, I think having some of that accountability with them and knowing that you're attached to that person in some way, I don't think that's a bad thing. And I do think that
Yeah.
that's a little bit out of model from the way that KW typically operates with profit share. And I think that that could be something that is kind of a missing piece that will help a little bit. It's like, even if it's just a check-in, just every now and then, just saying like, hey, how are things going? Like Janet, I did, with you a few weeks ago, like, hey, how's it going? Have you plugged into productivity coaching? Have you made it to any of those? Like, just want to check and see how you're doing, right? Like
Right.
that little touch. I want to make sure that like when you come on board and you're naming me as your sponsor, that there is a level of accountability with that, right? That I am also wanting to see you succeed. And I want to make sure that you do find your place here in the company. And so, especially in the beginning, until someone really gets like rooted in and feels like they're part of something, like there's nothing wrong with taking some ownership in that. And I don't think that that's a fault of the support in the company by any means. I think that's just you intentionally being a little bit higher level with, the agents that you're bringing on and having a little more skin in the game yourself, right? So
Hmm.
like obviously you can't step out of real estate. That's not paying your bills. But at the same time, like, it is something that's like, hey, if this grows, like I want to be able to have something that, what are you joining me for? Right. Like, yes, I am the person that introduced you to the company, but also like I'm happy to be here as a resource for you as well. Now, obviously that's all within reason. You don't want to become someone's coach or mentor, every single day of the week, but, within reason, I think that's also healthy because you are the reason that they came over, initially. Um,
Right.
so aside from that, like, what are some things that you feel like you guys could do just on the day to day in your business, right now that you could start to just implement super simply? Like, do you guys have any thoughts or ideas on that?
I think just being intentional about it. I mean, I always say I'm on a time block for something, and I hate being negative and say, oh, I'm not good at time blocking. Like, I struggle with it. So I try and time block my mornings. I do pretty good with that. And then after that, it's like, I don't have, maybe I just maybe work it into my morning time block with calls, writing birthday cards, that kind of thing. Just saying, who have I done a deal with? Um, I'm dealing with a lot of idiot agents, though, honestly. So maybe
You're like,
they
I don't
need
have
our
anyone
help.
right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And agents I've been maybe working on for 10 years, and one just left for another company. And I'm like, all right, well, that was one agent, but I haven't been thinking about a lot of agents on it. So maybe just thinking about who do I like in the business. And I feel like right now they're all
Yeah.
trying to prove me to EXP. Um,
Right.
but yeah, just thinking about, being intentional about who have I enjoyed working with. Maybe
Right.
who needs help, who's struggling. I think newer agents are probably easier pickings, and um, when I'm working with them, because they don't know what they don't know. And
Yep. When they already look up to you, right? Like, they look up to you as someone who is, been there, been through it. Like, you've built your career, you're in it, and they're still struggling, to make this a consistent thing. So I feel like that automatically you have the authority in that conversation. And if you do it the right way and it's a compliment, like, that person's going to feel so like, wow, this person like wants me to be at their company. Like, that's a huge compliment, right? Like, they've done this for
right,
however long. Like, use that, use that to your advantage. I also believe that the like implementing it into your daily routine is super important. I think what it comes down to is an awareness, like you said, the intentionality. I think that once you're aware of it and you want this to be something that you start to do, it's like you have to set the, goals around it, and you have to set some sort of like time blocking around it or a system. So it's like, you have like, you can build out a system. So like, Jeremy, you don't work with a transaction coordinator right now, or you do?
I do.
You do. Okay. So like, say for your transaction coordinator, a part of the process in that whole thing that they do for you is at the end of a transaction, you have them reach out from your email, log into your email, send an email directly from you. You have the script, and the script can just be, hey, it was such a great, experience working with you. And you have that script. Like, I'd love to jump on the phone and talk with you. Like, I feel like you'd be a great fit for our company. If you're open to a conversation, I just love to, jump on the phone with you. Let me know when you have some time. And that could be something that's taking it off of your plate, and it's just adding to the process that you already have that's there, because you're already probably sending out the congratulations email from your assistant or from your transaction coordinator, and then that's just one more step for them to the co-broke as a thank you, or that when you close the transaction, you do that email and then you send a thank you card, right? Like, thanks for working to, like, it was great working with you. Like, I have gotten one thank you card in the mail my entire career of working with another agent. And I've never thought about sending them out myself until I got one. And I was like, wow, that was really nice. It's super nice, So it can just be as simple as that. And it's not something that has to be a daily thing, but it can just be like something that adds on to the systems you already have in place. Right. So like, just starting super, super minute and super simple. And like, the one thing that I will tell you from my experience is, like, I would go through phases, like kind of like the roller coaster effect of like, I want to get all in on this and like really focus on this. It's a huge opportunity. And then like burnt out on it, and then all in on it, and then burnt out on it. And so from experiencing that, my advice is that don't try to just go all in on it and go balls to the walls with it. Try to just do those little things that start to compound over time, and don't be attached to the outcome, because it's just like when you're trying to market to your database, you're making those touches, you're doing it consistently. That you're not just going to all of a sudden be like, oh, I saw your one email, I need to sell my house, right? Like, it takes time for that to build. And it's the same thing. So like, again, if you treat the business, the agency you're already working with, as your SOI, like, yeah, there's opportunity with people that you already know, but just start with the ones that you're currently working with, because that's the easiest low-hanging fruit that's out there, that is really just a simple adjustment in what your business is to make that change. That's my recommendation. That's what I would say. Like, if I were still like in the business selling consistently, like I almost wish that I could do both, that I could be the team leader and be selling full time, because the amount of opportunities that I would get working with other agents, having these conversations and being the team leader, it's like, oh my gosh, this would be just such an easy conversation. Right. Um, and that's really like, that was my biggest struggle. The other thing I would say is, don't get disheartened when people do go to other companies, or you've been working on someone and they just turn you down or whatever it is, because at the end of the day, there's so many other options out there. And if it doesn't click with someone, it doesn't click with someone, and that's okay. But it can be really disheartening and like challenging to feel like, well, what am I even doing this for? Right. Like, what's the point? Right. If you feel like you're just getting like loss after loss. Right. So don't give up on it. It took me until 2020. So I was already at the company for 3 years at that point in time. And 2020 was when, for me, it kind of clicked. And what happened for me with my group, and what really blew up my group, was I had one agent reach out to me that I had worked with in the past, that was a big agent in our area. He reached out to me and was like, hey, like, I love what you do in your business. I love how authentic you are. Like, you're producing. Like, I want to talk to you about EXP, because I feel like you are someone who's actually in the business really producing, and your focus is not on recruiting. It is on growing your business. And I respect that. And I'm interested, and I'd love to just have a conversation with you. And I was like, holy crap. Okay. Yeah, sure. And at that point, like, I had focused on it, but never like really intentionally. And we had that conversation, and we talked over the next few weeks. And by that point, he was already pretty sold on it. Like, I didn't even have to sell him. Like, he was already pretty like, this is what I want to do. I just want to talk to someone who's in it, who's been there for a while. And so that conversation that I had with him, like, looking back, like, I did it all wrong. Like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was just like, all right, cool, let's talk about this. And I vomited all over him, about the company and all the things you're not supposed to do, I did. And so that's a testament to, like, you can mess it up and still get it right,
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up coming over. And what happened was that over the next 2-3 years after that, our group doubled in size, tripled in size, because he was you call it your one. Like, you can get one that's going to blow up your entire group. And at that point in time, like, we had 4 levels deep below us that, I mean, there are people in my fourth line that I had never met before. I didn't know. And it was because he was such a believer in it. And he was someone who was like, I'm bringing everyone I know with me. Right. And so and he is an amazing agent, still producing, just added that into his business. And so that was something that I feel like for him, it was like, he saw it and he got it. So like, you can fail after fail after fail and get all the no's, and then you'll get the one yes that can literally change the trajectory for you for the next 10 years. Right. So like, you just really need to focus on, like, I just want to get that one. And then when you get that one, like, that's when it really happens. And that's the same thing here. You get that one, and that person sees it, and they can, then it feels like you're doing something together. It's not just you. It's like, all of a sudden you have someone with you, and it's like getting them plugged in, getting them excited about it, seeing the opportunity themselves, then they're starting to implement things into their business like you're doing for your business. And then that starts to compound, right? So it's less about like, I have to bring all of these people on, and it's more about, we have to bring all these people on, right? So at that point, that's when it starts to get really exciting. And again, it's like, you can get it wrong and still get it right. Like, you can mess it up and still get a win. It's just a matter of that person seeing it, and, so you just never know when that can happen. So it's just for me, that was a win that, like, I still look back at that. Like, I feel like I just got lucky. And at the same point in time, like, did I get lucky, or was it something where it's like, no, I was just a good agent, and I was doing my business, and I was focused on growing my business, and I wanted to be out about, like, I was never like, keep it closed in. Like, I don't want to like not share it. Like, I was outward about the fact that I love my company, but I was never recruiting. And I feel like that was something that, like, people liked, right? Like, people were attracted to that. So,
That's where I think
so
I
again, like,
struggle. Like,
yeah,
I have a fine business, but it's nothing where I'm like, well, look at my business, how great it is. I feel like I don't have that. So I'm like, well, what is what do we offer? You know, I don't have that where I'm like, this is just blowing up for me. Look at all my success and you can have this too. So
And I don't think you
like
have
for a
to, like
newer agent, maybe it's a little
right.
more
And that's where
appealing.
like maybe that's your niche, you know, like maybe that's your niche is like it is the newer agent that you feel like you can truly help. And here's the thing, Jeremy, like you may not be doing 75 houses a year, but you've created an amazing quality of life with a repeatable business, you know, where like you've been doing this for long enough that you do have repeatable proven success, right? Not everyone wants to sell 50, 75, 100 houses a year. I mean,
Yeah.
I can say for myself, like if I went back full time, I don't want to do that, right? Like that's not my version of success. And, you know, even him coming to me, I don't even think that it was a matter of like how much business I was doing. I think it was the fact that he was attracted to the fact that I wasn't like, all right, I'm no longer selling. I'm going to start recruiting. Like, I think that he respected the fact that like, no, I got in this business to sell houses, to work with people. Like that's what I'm excited about. Right. Um, so yeah, don't downplay what you do because I do think that you are successful in this market and in this industry. And, you know, you do have something to offer someone because you're doing something right. Like at the end of the day, you're still doing something right. You know, even if it's like 25 to 35 houses a year, like if that's repeatable for you and you've done it year after year after year, something is working, right?
Yeah.
And it's creating a good quality of life for you and your family. So, um, but I do agree. I mean, I think that for you, like again, we say the word low hanging fruit because you're looking at like what is an easier win? Yeah, go for the easier wins. Don't go for the mega team leader, the mega agents, the like they're already being recruited left and right from everyone. So like, yeah, go for the ones that no one's looking at. Go for the ones that like, okay, they've sold 5 houses, but like they're not really like they're not in it 100% yet. They're not sure if they're going to make it. Go for those because you know that those agents are also the agents that will succeed at this company. That if we get them plugged in, we get them into training, we get them into productivity coaching, all the things that we provide, like they will find their success here. And that's when you create the believers and the people who are truly passionate about being at this company, right? So I personally, I have always said I would way rather have an agent join that's been somewhere else for 6 months or a year and has struggled and has seen the fact that like what they're being given and what's out there for them is not fantastic. And then they come in and like I had this conversation with an agent a couple weeks ago coming from Cutler, and I sat down with her and we talked about things. I talked about all the different things that we provide and that we do, and she was just like, oh my gosh, like I wish I would have started here first, you know? And I told her, I was like, listen, there's no wrong turns in your career. Like everything gets you to where you're going. And at the end of the day, you now see what's there for you and you appreciate it way more than if you had started with us and had never seen anything else. Like Janet, I'm sure you can attest to that from where you're coming from, like understanding what's out there for you, right?
Yeah, that I'm listening to this and I'm really glad that I came in on this conversation because now that I'm back in the business, this is something that I can keep in my mind all the time. I'm not quite there
Right.
yet to do that. You know, I don't know all the programs and everything, but what I want to do is get to know all them and get to that point. And having that mindset going into meeting everyone is really nice to have at this point. So I'm glad I
Yeah.
came.
Well, and the one thing that I'll challenge for you, Janet, is you're obviously in a different spot and position than Jeremy is. Jeremy's been with us, what, 14 years, right? 14,
15.
15, 15. So he has a lot of experience, a lot of stories, a lot of that like knowledge base of the company. Whereas you're walking into this not only as you're getting back into the industry as a quote unquote new agent, right? Like you're newer into the industry at this time and you're new to the company. What I will tell you is that I have seen other agents in the same similar spot that are not selling 50 houses a year, even 10, 15 houses a year. And what I have seen is that it doesn't matter where you're at in your business or how new you are or how new you are to the company. If you believe in it and you make those connections and you do those, you build that relationship with someone and you're the connector, you can grow something pretty big without ever feeling like you are qualified to do it yet. Like that's the cool thing and that's the exciting thing is like there is no like I have to do this first before I'm ready for it. Like all it takes is just having a conversation. The worst thing that can happen is you get an at bat They say no, they're not interested. No big deal. Then the next time you have that conversation, you're more prepared, you know what to say. And the more you get those at bats, right? Like the more you get those at bats, the better you're going to be in the future. And then when you feel like you truly are quote unquote ready for it, you're going to be so much more empowered at that point in time because you've already been building that into your systems from the beginning. Like that's the thing that I wish that I would have done differently. Looking back, I had such an insane, incredible opportunity when I came into the company. I was literally one of the first 5 agents to start EXP in Ohio, like all of Ohio. Nobody knew who the company was. And I was so scared because I was a new agent. I was so scared to have conversations with people. I was like, don't ask me about it. I don't know. I don't even want to have that. Like, I'm just focusing on my business. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, if you want to talk to someone, go talk to someone else. Like, I knew that it was a good opportunity, but I didn't really wrap my head around the opportunity that I had. And there were other people that saw it and knew the opportunity and they did something with it. And like, I waited 4 years, 3.5 years to actually go all in on that opportunity. And I feel like I missed 3 or 4 years because by that point in time, we already had 1,500 agents. Like
Right.
if I would have been the one making those connections, even if I just fumbled it, and connected them to the right person that could then close it for me, I mean, what could that group have looked like? I mean, it would have been 3 times at least what I had, you know?
Right.
And so that's what I would just challenge you on is, you know, don't downplay anything for yourself. And also like, don't be afraid of those conversations. Now, if it's something you're like, I don't want to focus on this yet, totally fine, you know? But I think that at the same point in time too, like the conversations you're having, if you feel like it's like, man, I really feel like they'd be a good fit, just have the conversation, you know,
Yeah.
don't be afraid of it. Don't, because again, like I would say like, that's a regret of mine that I wish that I would have done that sooner because it's like, well, yeah, 4 years from now, if you would have started it now, what would you be? And you're building it into your system as if it's normal. Like Jeremy's now implementing something new into his system where he's like, I've been doing it like this for 15 years now. And now I'm implementing something different and new. It's a lot harder to do something and add it in than it is to just start with it and build it that way. Right.
Right.
So just,
Good
you know,
stuff.
some motivation for you.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad that you hopped on here today. So yeah, I mean, that's really what I want this call to be. I want to do this like once a month and just kind of get with each other. In my opinion and in my experience, the more that you surround yourself with it, the more that you're exposed to it, the more you're just talking about it, the more you'll see opportunities that are out there. And then when you are actually starting to build these conversations and, you know, create these connections, you're going to see where the struggles are. You're going to be like, hey, this is what I said. This is what I like, how it went. Like, where could I have improved that? Where could this have gone better? Like, that's my goal. This is a place for you guys to kind of come to and say, like, hey, I want this to be a focus. Big, small, doesn't matter. And you have a place, you know, and a group of people that you can lean on for that, you know, specifically. So obviously you guys know my role is built around this too. Yeah, Janet?
So every time there'll be a different topic that you're going to be discussing?
So this
The
one
mastermind?
specifically is going to be on, so this one would be specifically on a profit share mastermind. The one where we're doing like different topics, that's the realtor collab, and we're doing that on Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays, okay.
Yep. So you can jump into that. That's coming Tuesday is our next one at 1:30. Well, not this coming Tuesday, sorry, the following, because we have our summer masterminds next week. So
That's great.
Speaking of, Janet, are you going to that?
I have not signed up yet. I wasn't really sure.
Okay. If you're available, I would highly recommend that you go there. I think it's gonna be a great event. I think you'll get a lot out of it and you can kind of carve your own path as far as what you're interested in, what you want to learn about. But reach out to me if you're interested, because I do have a couple of $5 off codes for signing up if you want to go.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
And then Becca just said, I highly recommend the summer mastermind. Awesome. Becca, sorry, I know you came in kind of late on this one, so we'll do it again next month, and you're obviously welcome to join, but it's always fun. Sometimes people getting into Zoom is difficult, so hope to see you on the next one. But yeah, so that's it. So 30-45 minutes, just a check-in once a month. Don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. Was this helpful?
Thank
Do you guys
you.
feel good about it?
I feel great
Yeah.
about it.
I just gotta kind of, you know, get committed to spending some time on it.
First step is commitment, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, and until you're ready for that, it's like, it's all good. And then once you do that, then it's going to be a game changer. So, yep, you're right.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. All
All right, thank
You're
you.
welcome. Have a great
Yeah,
day, guys.
everyone.
See ya.
You too. Bye.